morning. This is the Beaver Show.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community and forum, and the Pepper Master, hot pepper sauces made from fresh farm ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind.
Mr. Beaver? Uh-oh, I think we lost him. Oh, there he is.
I'm right here. Wow.
You disappeared
yeah,
for
there
a
was
sec.
for some reason it was at my end. The sound was stopping and starting, so I think there was a little bit of a delay on my end here. But I think we're in time now. We're in sequence.
It happens.
All right. Well, good morning and hello, kids, and welcome to season 3 and episode 198 of the Daily Beaver Morning Show. 198. It's 2 away from 200. You ever think that? Mr. Grizzly, when we started, we'd have like 200 episodes of anything?
Yeah,
cool.
I did. You
did? I was hoping.
Yeah.
I wasn't actually sure we would get there, but...
Well, remember when we sat down the first time we met face to face, I said, let's attack this for a 5-year plan. Here's what we want over the next 5 years. Well, there's definitely going to be more than 200 episodes in that time frame. So we're at 200 live morning shows.
Well, we were recording one a week, though.
Yeah.
Sometimes two, if we had...
The eventual plan was to get to this. We got to this quicker than expected, but that's okay.
Way quicker.
Okay. Well, all it took was me getting mad at some idiots to get noticed.
Oh, you.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, man. Today, I said, episode 198, the Daily Beaver Morning Show here on the Crier Media Network. And, of course, in our little intro, you heard Mateo. I love it. Today, recording day is Thursday, August 31st, 2023. And according to the Weather Network, it's actually going to be a late summer day. Sunshine, maximum temperature 21. Exactly like end of August should be like, as opposed to this really wild weather we've been having. A late August day that will feel like a late August day.
It was 11 degrees yesterday morning. Yesterday morning, the morning before, I don't know. It was cold. Look, 11 degrees in February, shorts and a t-shirt. 11 degrees in August, parka.
Yesterday I went to play tennis and I biked away from home, and I was about like a minute and a half and doubled back and said, I need a hoodie.
Yeah.
Because it's cool now. And then 1 hour from now, when the sun goes down and then
gonna
I'm
be
all
hot.
sweaty
Oh,
and then I have to bike home.
yeah.
Ooh.
You're going to freeze.
Yeah, headlights on. Let's put it that way. I'm your host, the Eager Beaver, pronouns he, him, hey, Mr. Beaver. And with me, as always, is my dear friend, Mr. Grizzly. Of course, a big thank you goes to our podcast founding sponsors, the Pepper Master, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, and CanadianTarot.com. We have a Thursday morning nibble for you. But first, Mr. Grizzly, good morning, and how's your mental health today? You look like you're feeling better.
Oh, good morning, Mr. Beaver. I am feeling a little bit better, yes. Mental health-wise, I think I'm in pretty good shape, largely because last night, the reason I didn't get anything done until this morning was I sat down on the couch and was getting ready to head to my Scotch and cigar night. It was 6:30, and I'm like, nope. I didn't take any antihistamines yesterday, thinking I could get through the day without it. That was a terrible mistake. I felt like crap all day. It was difficult to get through the workday because, you're in constant sinus pressure pain. So when I got home, I had something to eat. I took an antihistamine, sat down on the couch, and it was probably 7 o'clock before I started to feel a little better. And that's when I just bowed out. I said, sorry, guys, I can't make it. I feel like garbage. And by 7:30, I was sound asleep. I woke up on the couch this morning at 4:30. It's like, yeah. So I slept a long time. Obviously, it was needed. So I do feel a little bit more rested today. So I'll take that as a win. That's a win, huh?
Yeah, got to listen to your body.
Yeah, well, you're looking about, 20 years younger this morning?
Yes.
I see clean, close shave.
Yes, I see Kid James says, Douglas, clean shaven, looks like Ricky Martin's cousin. That's a few steps up from Saddam Hussein there.
A little bit.
Just saying. For those not in the know, Kid James says that I have, if this fails, I have an alternate career as probably the best Saddam Hussein impersonator.
I don't see it, but sure, whatever.
Oh man. Good morning to all the kits here. Kit Jillian, Kit Linda M, Kit Taffy G, Kit Saucy, Kit Janet. Hello. Lovely to see ya. Kit Jen, hello my dear. Kit Linda M. Who else do we have with us today? Is Kit MK here today? Oh, Kit Patty. Hello. That's a new name for us. Good morning.
Kendra.
That's Dan's mom here. Oh, Mama Patty. Hello. Happy long weekend coming. Absolutely. Welcome. I hope you're feeling better. Let's see what else. Kit James, of course, as we mentioned. And oh, there we go. Kit Mike H just popping in right in time to get a mention saying good morning. Hey there. Yes, Douglas has a versatile visage. Ooh, I like that. Thank you, Kit Jen. I basically pulled a Poliver. But yeah, I'm going to blame it on my Beaver sweetie. He thinks I look better this way.
Speaking of Pierre Polyev, nice segue. I have a clip. I don't know if you've seen this, good sir. This is him knocking doors, and listen very carefully to what this prick says.
And look who he's with.
Colby. So here he comes. I told you, this is Mr. Pierre Polyev, your next prime minister. Give him what you got to tell him, Peggy.
Tell me, Peggy.
Oh, his dad started putting this country down, and he's going to put the nail in the coffin.
Not if we can help it.
His dad started it a long time ago.
Well, they're both Marxists.
Colby.
They're both Marxists.
Yep. Okay. Yep. Now, and see who he's campaigning with. He's campaigning with Jamil Javani, guy who worked for Bell Globe Media, who claims he was fired because, he's conservative and he's not white. So when he's talking and saying conservative things, it doesn't sound right coming out of a face that's not white. So he claims. Perhaps that's true. Perhaps that's not. I don't know. But he's been
I call
parlaying.
bullshit.
Hmm?
I call bullshit.
But he's been parlaying that into a nomination. And if you watch that video again and look at him rather than Pierre, he's like pops out of the car, runs out, joins him, stands on the other side, sort of like the hype man. At one point, has his head sort of cocked like this, but he's not doing any of the talking there. It's almost like that Looney Tune thing with that little dog Spike and that big dog. It's like, hey Spike, are we gonna go tell people that liberals are Marxists? Are we? Huh? Yeah, shit.
I'm playing this without audio, by the way, because I don't want to hear his whiny little voice again. But you can see it. He's just, yeah, okay, Spike. Yeah, okay, Spike. What if you say, Spike? You're the bestest, Spike. Like, come on, man. This guy, okay, the media better be cornering him on this one today. They better be confronting him on this. You called the prime minister and his late father a Marxist.
Yeah.
Please explain why you would say something like that. Well, that was meant for a private. No, somebody videotaped it, dude. Somebody shot it on their phone. I said videotape. That's how old I am. Oh, and who shot that? Michelle Ferrari.
Oh,
yeah.
so
That's who was filming it.
Michelle Ferrari is the one who's videotaped it and then thought that it was a good idea to actually put that out.
Well, take a look. Look here. Let me put it back up. Look right up at the very top of the screen. Yeah. Michelle Ferrari, MP.
Okay. Okay, that doesn't necessarily mean that she filmed it, but quite possible.
No. It's on her account. She shot it. She was out door knocking with Skippy.
Okay.
This is what I've been told. Whether or not that is true is up for debate. But this is what I've been told. That was her video that she shot.
But regardless, she thought that was a good look that should be shared. Wow. Oh yeah, Kid James. The right has been calling Trudeau a cultural Marxist for years, mostly because of the woke stuff and the hierarchy of the victim class. That's true. But actually, like, going door to door, because here's the thing, right? There was a time before everybody had a video camera in their pocket that going door to door really was private.
Yes.
And what you told them was just between me and you. So you could go out there and when the cameras were on, put the, word cleaver. I am a noble politician. I am infallible. I always do and say the right thing. I never curse. I never cheat on my wife. I never drink too much. Okay, cameras are off. Oh, God.
Give me a whiskey.
Come over here. Do a twirl for me. Right.
Yeah.
You could have two personas. That's why, for example, when you were caught with your hand with the cookie jar or going fishing in another man's well, that your career was over. But now it's the opposite. It's authenticity. We know that nobody's not perfect. And so you get politicians, for example, like Jack Layton, who was always Jack. Whether he was in politics or whether you met him on the street, he was always Jack, which was the key to his eventual success. Because there wasn't two Jacks. He would just always get Jack.
He was always the same guy. This is just me right now. This is my exasperated look. Yeah. That's the Dos Equis guy. That's my exasperated.
So now, when you have two different personalities, because there's always a camera on, right? Before you used to be able to say, I didn't say that. And well, how would you find out? I mean, you had to go to your library like this and go through microfiche.
Yes.
Right. Now you just can tap it up and see it in 30 seconds. Well, there's video of you saying it right there, what you said you didn't say. So the whole using technology to do 70s and 80s style politics better, which is what people spent most of the 90s and the 2000s trying, didn't work because you couldn't maintain that perfect persona. But now people have gone the other way.
Mm-hmm.
Like the clear other way. It's like, okay, you know what? I'm going to lean into as awful as I want to be. I'm just going to lean right in there.
Just go
So,
for it.
this is what we got. But this whole thing, if you went to people's doors and you were telling, like, for example, if you were conservatives and you were going to, let's say, Chinese Canadian stores and saying, if you vote for us, this guy and the constitutional writing here can get your immigration application approved a little faster. Now, it's not true that can happen, but you tell them that.
It actually can happen. I've seen it happen.
It has happened. There have been reports in the news.
I've seen it happen.
That conservatives during the Harper area were promising that.
No, I've seen
one
it.
Of the ways
I've seen it under the Liberal government. Literally under the Liberal government. A friend of mine had his immigration fast-tracked because a friend of ours worked for the Minister of Immigration at the time.
But
and then my buddy,
completely unethical.
Completely. My buddy, who was a Canadian citizen, when they said, we're going to fast-track it for you. He goes, wait, why? He did not agree with that. But they pushed the paperwork through and got it done for him. He did not agree with that. Now, that being said...
unless they looked at his application and there was a natural reason within it.
There was a number of reasons
to it. That already existed.
Yeah.
That'd be one thing.
Extremely well-educated, highly educated, 2 master's degrees, one in law, one in music,
But going door to door.
And he's from the UK. Yeah. So Commonwealth, but still.
Yeah.
Completely unethical.
But going door to door, going to little community events. Let's say there's an event, there's been an outreach with, let's say, the Tamil community.
Mm-hmm.
And you go and you have an event and it's only members of the Tamil community there. And you're promising them that, if you vote conservative, that family reunification stuff, oh, trust me, your applications will get approved a whole lot faster. Just see the guy in the constituency office and we'll wink.
See what we can do to make it happen.
We'll see what we can do. Like that type of stuff, right? We'd never know about that unless somebody blew the whistle. So going door to door and telling people, we have people in this country that remember a time when saying they're a Marxist was a really, 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 really bad thing. Who are direct descendants of people who went through times when Marxists were doing their thing and doing very, very bad things. And they told their children about how terrible those things were and how they should not want that. And you're going door to door. And
Well, the one of the
slippery snake.
The one thing that kills me is when they'll say, well, he just said he was a Marxist. I've heard him call him a socialist, and I'd be, yeah, okay, that's cool. People go, oh, isn't that bad? Do you know what socialism is, right? Do you know what it is? The definition of it is when the workers own the means of production. That's what a union is. The workers own the means of production. Now, in a union, you don't necessarily own the means of production, but you've got a lot more power in a union as a worker than you do as an individual. Socialism is a good thing for you and I. People just don't seem to realize it because they've been fed so much crap over the decades.
Mm-hmm.
And they believe the crap because you keep hearing the same lies over and over and over again. You eventually start to believe them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And speaking of that, there was a tweet yesterday from an account that I liked very much, David Brown at Orbit Studios. Recommended follow. He says, watch this. The federal daycare program is a game changer for young families to help fight inflation and for women who want to remain in the workforce. The Liberal Party needs to be talking about this more. We'd lose this under a Poilievre government on day one. And he's quoting a tweet by someone that goes by Bev, who is...
I follow Bev.
Who played... who's forwarded TikTok from It's Janella Massa.
And she's the one who always gets me the good Lisa TikToks as well.
Yeah. So
I follow
I would
Lisa
like.
on TikTok, but she just tweets them, so it's easier to pull from Twitter than it is TikTok.
Oh yeah, exactly. So I would like to play this for
Yes,
you,
please.
kits and cups.
Pop
$1,600
it
a
up,
month.
start it over, and let's roll. All right.
All right. Here we go.
$32 a day. I just had my mind blown completely. Like I knew this was happening, but I didn't really grasp it until right now. So I'm looking for childcare for my 10-month-old daughter. I live in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. For years, all I've ever heard from parents is complaints about the exorbitant cost of childcare. Like it's a big part of the reason some women just don't return to the workforce because they're literally just working to cover the cost of childcare. Like I remember my sister was paying like $1,600 a month. And then by the time she had 2 kids, it was actually cheaper for her to hire a nanny to take care of the 2 kids at home than to pay for the cost of 2 kids in daycare. So in my mind, I was like, I only need childcare like 2-3 days a week. And a lot of the daycares want full time. You have to put them on a wait list like before you're even pregnant to get in. Let me not bother with all of that. I'll just hire someone to come to the house a couple of days a week. So for that, the cheapest you can get a nanny is like $20 to $25 an hour. So I was willing to do like 5 hours a day, 2 days a week. That's $200 a week. That's $800 a month for 2 days of childcare at home. I start looking online for nannies. I interviewed a couple. Then I'm on the phone with my friend. She's telling me she just got her son into daycare. And for full-time care, she's paying $750 a month. And that's because there's a new childcare subsidy. Subsidy is not really the right word. It's actually like a national childcare program where the federal government has negotiated all these deals with the provinces and they're trying to implement $10 a day daycare by 2025. So this is just phase 1. So it's going to get cheaper than this. So suddenly I was like, wait a second. Would it be cheaper to put my daughter in childcare full time than to have a nanny part time because of this subsidy? So now I'm like scrambling to like add her to all these wait lists. It's August. There's no way I'm getting her anywhere in September. But I just got a call from a place that has part-time available 3 days a week. It's a block down the street from my house. And then she told me the price. For part-time care, full day, 3 days a week, it's $32 a day. That's $90 a week, $360 a month. I can't even like wrap my brain around those numbers. It's a total game changer for women and families to be able to afford childcare. This isn't even as cheap as it's going to be. It's set to go down. This is just the first phase. My mind is blown.
There you have it, right?
There you have it.
It's like the system is working and it's going to improve. And remember, folks, the province of Quebec has been doing this for 25 years now, and it has put more money back into the system by massive margins than it ever took out of it. It has been a net positive program from the beginning. And economists who said this is ridiculous, she'll go bankrupt, discovered, oops, we were wrong. This system works, and it works well, because all of a sudden you have women going back into the workforce that otherwise wouldn't. And it's like Jen says, I put this on the screen a second ago, I'll bring it back. Did the math with my boss. If I went back to work 44 hours per week, I'd lose $100 per week with both of them in daycare. She was gobsmacked. That's the truth of it. So under this new program, under this new system, families will become upwardly mobile because they can afford to have their 2 parents, two adults working and actually saving money and investing and putting money back into the economy because they'll have actually disposable income. I mean, it's difficult enough to raise a child on 1 salary, right? It's incredibly difficult. Now you got 2 salaries and you're not spending all your money on daycare. Hey, this is starting to work out well. It's starting to work out really well. This is a net positive thing for everybody in the country, even the people who hate the idea that my tax dollars are going to pay for this. It's like, it's going to benefit you too, because more money comes back into the system. There you go. $1 invested in daycare, 7 times return on that investment. That's massive.
That's massive. It's just huge. Huge. And you're giving me a beautiful segue speaking about women working.
Oh, please do tell.
Mm-hmm. It was announced we've talked about it a little bit earlier,
Mhm.
but there's been a milestone. The new Professional Women's Hockey League,
Yes.
because there used to be two hockey leagues, and now they're finally merging into one. They were looking at choosing locations for hockey teams. They didn't know how many they were going to have, so they've decided on 6. So we've got a new original 6,
Mhm.
and the teams will be in Toronto, Montreal, and Ottawa for Canada, and Boston, Minneapolis, St. Paul, and New York
Which makes perfect
for the
sense
United States.
for those
Makes
6
perfect
teams. That
sense.
makes perfect sense.
16. Yep. The league will begin play in January 2024. So just in a few months. They will have a 24-game schedule for the inaugural season. Players will be allocated to those cities through a free agency period in early September, followed by a draft on September 18th. Jenner Hefford, who is a former Canadian national team player and the senior vice president of the PWHL's hockey operations, says, "Today we look ahead to a phenomenal future for the PWHL. We have never seen more excitement and demand for women's sports, and through the launch of this league, the top women's players in the world will have the opportunity to reach even greater heights." Teams will begin building their rosters with a 10-day free agency period beginning September 1st, followed by the draft. The eligibility pool for the draft and free agency will include Professional Women's Hockey Players Association membership, in addition to the former Premier Hockey Federation players, totaling about 300 people. Wow. 300 people. That's a big pool, especially for 6 teams.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be cool. Stan Kasten, league board member and Los Angeles Dodgers president, says he expected a full schedule for the season to be available in October, including some games at neutral venues in partnership with NHL. He said subsequent seasons will consist of 32 regular season games expected to start in November, plus at least 2 playoff rounds. This is just fantastic news. And you know who else is associated with this project?
Mm.
So there's the guy who owns the Dodgers. This is basically the big financier. Billie Jean King, of course, is involved with the group, and former NHL executive Brian Burke.
Yes, I saw that.
That soft and cuddly guy.
The thing is,
right?
He's got a rough hewn exterior, right? He really,
right?
He's a rough and tumble, punch you in the face.
He's on the right
old
side
school.
of every issue, though.
That's the thing. Like, you look at him and you think John Madden of hockey, except he's on the right side of every issue. He always is. The man is woke. He's the definition of woke. He just doesn't look like he plays the part, but he does.
Yep. He was hired as the PWHL's Players Association first executive director. Burke, who last served as the Pittsburgh Penguins president through April, has a lengthy track record of involvement with women's hockey dating to 2013 when he was a CWHL board member. He has a law degree from Harvard.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I only found that out yesterday when I was reading that. I was like, really? I did not know that.
Surprise.
Yeah. So
again, you just never know by looking or hearing people.
Well, and again, he's the John Madden of hockey, right? Rough, tumble, punch you in the face, not putting up with any crap. Always looks like he's ready to fly into a rage, but he's a big soft teddy bear on the inside. And I have a very dear friend of mine, met him once because she did a lot of work with the Blue Jays and the Leafs. She's a photographer and she does media. And anyway, she's out in Vancouver now, but she said, I was at this thing and this gentleman, she says, I didn't even recognize him at first, but he just said, well, I just got back from PEI. She goes, I'm from PEI. And then started to talk to him for like an hour. And they've been in touch ever since because she's as genuine and down to earth as you could ever imagine. Any Islander is. If you've ever met someone from PEI, there's nothing phony about them. There's nothing fake about them. Just like a Newfoundlander, they're 100% authentic. That's who she is. She's friends with Brian Burke and said, he's just a big teddy bear. And you know what? I believe it. He just looks rough on the outside because, he's a tough guy. But he's a tough guy with a heart of gold who's always on the right side of history.
Mm-hmm. He is quoted as saying, "Today is the most exciting day in the history of women's hockey, in my view. We are committed to a platform of fairness and equity and equality, and the core values that started this league will not ever change. If you can play here, you can play.
Mhm.
Don't worry about where you played before. We've got a spot for you if you make us better, which is the exact same thing. The exact same thing he says about rainbow players.
Exactly.
No different. One standard for all. If you can play, you can play.
That's it. Period. He was the one who
Boom.
spearheaded the whole diversity program in the NHL.
Included in the collective bargaining agreement is health insurance, a retirement plan, commercial rights, maternity leave, and much more.
That's awesome.
Sisters are doing it for themselves. I love this. This is great. Yeah. I think this is wonderful.
There's no mention of a television contract yet, eh?
Not yet in this.
I wonder,
No, but it's coming.
You know what I think would be ideal, and this is just merely my postulation. The format we're broadcasting on YouTube be a good opportunity for them to just do the games. So that way you can access it from anywhere that you have a connection.
Yep.
And it could reach a lot more people.
Maybe.
Just a suggestion. Hey, PWHL, if you're watching,
because you can
talk to YouTube.
You can have a closed channel where people subscribe on YouTube and monetize it that way. Yeah,
exactly.
Never know. Never know.
It's a good idea.
But I have a feeling that TSN and CBC are going to be all over this,
or Sportsnet maybe,
or maybe Sportsnet.
CBC would be better to do it because
Sportsnet. I don't.
Well, I say Sportsnet is Rogers, and they own the NHL, right? TSN doesn't really get the games anymore because that's Bell Globe Media, and they don't have the contract Rogers does. But here's where CBC only gets the Saturday night game. They get Hockey Night in Canada, and they get that at the kindness of Rogers.
Yeah, because they don't keep the revenue. It's just content.
It's just content, right? They get ad revenue from it, but no, they don't. I thought they did.
No.
Oh, it's just content. Wow.
It's just literally content. They get to fill a few hours without having to pay to produce content.
Oh, okay.
They don't even get the ad revenue.
Wow.
I just learned that a couple of days ago.
I did not know that. That's
neither did
that's
I.
Wild. Wow.
Yeah.
But you know what? Here's the thing. I don't have cable TV. I haven't had it in 12 years. I have streaming services and I have an antenna. I have rabbit ears. I get about a dozen channels in full HD. And CBC happens to be the best signal, which means I can watch the games on Saturday night without going online. I can just turn on my TV and click it over. Unfortunately, because I live in Ottawa, most of the games are usually the Leafs, unless Ottawa happens to be playing Toronto, because they only get one game from Rogers. And CBC will air the Leafs games or the Canadians, whichever happens to be playing on that Saturday night, usually a Leafs game. Reason being, look, the Leafs have the biggest audience in the country, like it or not. They do. It's as simple as that. They're the second most valuable franchise in the entire NHL after the New York Rangers. So you got to go where the money is. I get it, but that's Rogers is getting the money, not CBC.
Yeah, but I have a feeling Rogers won't be the one just based on the coverage of the National Bank Open, because the tournament just announced that they were moving to parity in terms of salary, and Sportsnet has 5 channels, and most of the time when it was on, 4 of the channels were showing the men and 1 was showing the women, and often if there was a Blue Jays game on, they were just showing the men and they wouldn't show the women, even if Canadian women were on. They bought the rights for the men and the men's and the women's tournament, and they almost didn't show the women at all.
Pathetic.
At all. It's like, why bother? You got 5 channels.
Yeah.
So the women were relegated to web.
Yeah, and the thing is, you're going to get men you've never heard of before, whereas you could have the top 50 women playing at the time, and you're not getting to see it. Way to go, Rogers. Well done. Well done.
Yeah. In this case, for the National Bank, that wasn't the case because it's a premier 1,000 level tournament. So the top 50 are pretty much, unless they have an injury, mandated to come. So you get to, so it's one of the, there's like 9 tournaments like that on the entire calendar, and then the 4 Grand Slams, whether, so unless you have a very good reason, you need to be there. So, Do we have time, Susan? Because I know
Yeah.
you have to get in.
We got a few minutes. Yeah.
Okay, we have a little. I have a little self-correction yesterday from Stornoway because yesterday I said it had 34 rooms. I'm guessing it's depending on the source because I've seen several sources say it's 34, and then I've seen several say it's 19. According to Wikipedia, it is 19. Now, I guess
Makes more
it
sense
might
to me.
depend how you count rooms. But based on the description, I would say that that's right. So it says that Stornoway has an assessed value of $4,225,000 in 2008, based on this value, which is only an approximation of the market value. So that's for municipal taxes calculation, which is always way less than for which you can sell it, and is maintained with $70,000 a year in government funds. The property has been owned and managed by the National Capital Commission since April 1986. The lot size, with a frontage of 228 feet or 69 meters and a depth of 225 feet, also 69 meters, is slightly irregular. The property is 5.1 kilometers away from the Parliament buildings, whereas the Prime Minister's official residence is only 3. And it's located in an area that has many ambassadorial residences in
I know
part
that
of the
really
city. Now, you mentioned yesterday that Canada is the only nation that has an official residence for its leader of the opposition. It also has an official residence for the Speaker of the House.
I didn't know
In case
that.
you didn't remember. Yes, the farm is a historic farmhouse and the official residence of the Speaker of the House of Commons in Canada. It's located in Gatineau Park in the community of Kingsmere. The farm has been managed and maintained by the National Capital Commission since 1986. In addition to the farm, the Speaker of the House of Commons has also provided a 2-room apartment in Centre Block on Parliament Hill. You know who got to benefit from that for
Andrew
pretty
Scheer.
much a decade?
Yeah. Old Shearsy.
And that's why, even though he's been thoroughly rejected by the Canadian public, he's still hanging up.
Of course
That
he
and
is.
he needs to then keep what he did with the money quiet.
Yeah.
What you do with the money, Andy?
Where's the money?
And tell
Where's
us
the
a little
money?
more about your friend. And tell us a little more about your friend, Mike Roman. Andy.
Yeah.
I'm a Yankee Doodle Andy.
Want to fill us in there, Andy?
So we have the farm. We have Stornoway. We have 24 Sussex. We have Rideau Hall. We have the cottage, on which the Prime Minister is staying now. Then we have the other cottage on Harrington Lake, and there's a lot of buildings.
Mohan, anything over 10 is opulence.
So, right, we need to calm it a little bit down here on that stuff.
You
Okay,
think?
just to give you, the people here that are screaming and yelling and crying, right, had no problem. Stephen Harper, he had no problem moving into Stornoway. Preston Menon had no problem. They both railed against it. They had no problem. Then Harper wouldn't repair it to make sure that the next guy couldn't get it, I guess.
Oh, that was 24 Sussex. Well, then it's not up to him. It's up to the NCC. And they recommended that he not move in. They told him he shouldn't move in.
Well, yes, absolutely. And he decided he was moving in anyway because he was entitled to his entitlements.
I've worked there 5 times. 5 times I've worked there under 3 different PMs. Chrétien, Martin, and Harper. And Harper being the last one to live there. Lorene is lovely. She's a lovely woman. Never met the 3 gentlemen, but I did meet all of their wives. They were all lovely. They were all very kind to me. But, I mean, I wouldn't live in that house. Not even for free. It's a dump. Trust me, I know this. There's not a square inch of it I haven't seen, including the attic that I crawled through on my belly to fix something. Then when I came down, they go, "Oh, yeah, that's full of asbestos." You tell me after the fact? If I develop mesothelioma, I'm going after the NCC.
Jeez. The last big boom thing is that the Integrity Commissioner in Ontario had a report come out yesterday. And in that report, he basically concluded that, well, what the fuck? For all intents and purposes. He said that Steve Clark did not properly oversee the process. He called it a rushed and flawed process marred by a lack of oversight, which is what the Auditor General also pretty much said. Said that the process that led to protected greenbelt lands being selected for housing development, leading to private interests of certain developers to seep into the project. Quote, Minister Clark's lack of oversight led to some developers being alerted to a potential change in the government's position on the greenbelt, resulting in their private interests being furthered improperly. Now, this is all true. This process was unfair to those landowners who had an interest in seeing their lands removed and who were unaware of the potential change to the government's Greenbelt policy, said the Integrity Commissioner, adding that the supervision of staff is a minister's responsibility. Minister Clark did not question or properly oversee Mr. Amato's selection process before the matter was presented to the cabinet, he wrote, but nowhere in this document or in this report or these newspaper articles does he seem to ask, but why did Mr. Clark not oversee that? Just that he didn't. Well, no shit, Sherlock.
Yeah, no kidding.
Thank you, investigative. So, yeah. Okay, fine. And then Ford, in another general fuck you to Ontarians, Minister Clark will continue to work towards delivering on our promise to build at least 1.5. Sorry, I need to do this, Doug, for a second. Minister Clark will continue to work towards delivering on our promise to build at least 1.5 million homes and ensure public trust and confidence is maintained every step of the way. We've acknowledged areas where we need to improve. The Integrity Commissioner reiterated that today and will continue to work to strengthen the process moving forward. They always want to fucking move forward. Okay, the report, come on, but let's move forward. No. And for all this lack of oversight, like Clark again saying that as minister, the buck stops with me and I accept the integrity. No, you're not accepting, and no, the buck doesn't stop with you, because if it really did, you'd be gone. $8.3 billion. You'd be gone. And for all of this lack of oversight, all of this malpractice, because come on, you cannot tell me that in 2023, you give someone this type of job and don't put any oversight mechanisms. This is by design. Oh, yeah. There was no oversight because they needed to be able to say, I knew nothing if they were asked questions. This was all the other guy. This is by design. And that the Integrity Commissioner did not just said, oh, well, there was no oversight. That's terrible. And you should have had bad boy. Well, right? For all of this lack of oversight by design, on purpose, that resulted in $8.3 billion of wealth being transferred. You know what the Integrity Commissioner recommended? A reprimand.
Don't do that again.
The thing is at the RCMP right now. A reprimand. And Ford didn't even do that.
Well, listen to this.
Staying in his job, and we'll do better going forward. Let's just move forward from this. Please, let's just move forward from this. It's getting a little hot in here. Please,
move on. Premier Doug Ford told the Auditor General that he didn't participate in the Greenbelt extraction land selection and didn't know about it until they were already picked by a political staffer. However, in April, in the legislature, the Premier was asked, How did the government decide which parcels of land would be removed from the Greenbelt? Doug Ford. The decision was very easy. We're in a housing crisis right now. Costs are going through the roof. It was very, very simple supply and demand. At the map, community, one piece of field, I'll call it about 10 acres, had housing all around all four corners in an empty field with weeds in it. They call that, that's not less brutal.
I'm not sure if all the kids
Absolutely
heard that
brutal.
correctly or not. From my end, one of our processors were there, so I didn't make anything of that out. It all got chewed up. Oh, Jillian said gremlins. Yeah, so I don't think anybody heard what you read.
You want me to reread it? Okay, I'll try it again.
Kits, could you tell us?
Let me know
We
if
couldn't hear any of that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I'll try it again. Premier Doug Ford told the Auditor General that he didn't participate in the Greenbelt extraction land selection and didn't know about it until they were already picked by a political staffer. However, in April, in the legislature, the Premier was asked, how did the government decide which parcels of land would be removed from the Greenbelt? Doug Ford's response, the decision was very easy. We're in a housing crisis right now. Costs are going through the roof. It was a very simple supply and demand. When we looked at the map, it's butt up against existing communities. As a matter of fact, one piece of field, I'll call it about 10 acres, had housing all around, all four corners in an empty field with weeds in it. They call that the Greenbelt? That's not the Greenbelt. That's just a field with a bunch of weeds, and people around that neighborhood all want it to be developed. So, Doug, you lied to us again. I didn't know about it until they were already picked by a political staffer. We looked at the map and we picked this section out. So which one is it, Doug? We have you on record. It's in the Hansard. It's there. You said it.
Wow. Yeah. You got Kit James here going, Premier Amato.
Yeah.
It's our number one policy thing. It's the thing that I've been obsessed with for the last 5 years. I actually put it on hold in my first mandate and tried to win another election and actually won another election, kind of. And, and now I'm pushing it through. And then once I decided I'm doing that, I decided to pay no attention to it whatsoever. Like nothing ever happened and it wasn't happening. And then it just arrived on my desk and, oh, okay, I guess I'm going to go with it. I left that up to Premier Amato.
Mm-hmm.
Kid Jen, what a donkey. I hope they keep the pressure on him. Yeah, they do. They do. Like I said, there's blood in the water. Journalists like that. And again, once somebody is squirming and they found the part on the body where you press, where it makes people go, ow. Journalists like to keep pressing on that.
Mm-hmm.
One of the journalists doing that is Amanda Pfeffer of CBC. I don't know if I don't think we might not have time because I know we're getting close to the end of the show to go through her thread. But I posted it here if you could put it up in the chat. She's got some sections, some screenshots of the actual Integrity Commissioner's report, and there were things that she's highlighted. And it is a very, very nice, juicy thread here. Hopefully, we'll be able to speak to it a little more tomorrow. Specifically, I'll make time for it in the show. But if you want to take a look at that now,
well, did you see the other day where he decided a few parcels of land were going to be returned to the Greenbelt when he found out that the person who owned them put them up for sale?
Yes.
You know what's suspicious about that? It looks good on paper, right? Here's the thing.
Yeah.
That particular developer that bought those pieces of land that have now put them up for sale did not donate to the Conservative Party. He donated to the Liberals and the Greens.
Really?
Funny how the one piece of land that they're going to take away and put back into the Greenbelt is not one of Dougie's friends.
Now, this is another distraction because...
Of course it is.
Those were those lands already up for sale? They were not being advertised?
I'm not sure about
just
that.
Plans?
I'm not sure about that.
Okay, but here's the thing. In what dimension, galaxy, postal code, area code, universe, country, continent, or planet did these people who got these lands think that they could resell them when the only reason they got them was to build on them?
I don't know.
And if it wasn't already on the market as being sold, then how did the people know that there were plans to sell them? I mean, once you parceled off the lands, until the people apply for some types of permits to put something on the land, there's no way you should know what it is, what they're planning to do with them,
Mm-hmm.
until they actually put a proposal your way and ask for a permit. So how would they know that there was a plan to... Do they have an in? Did they... Again, so many more questions.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. This is not over by a long shot, and I'm sorry, but there's no way that you plan this type of process, decide you're not going to have any oversight from it, have somebody benefit that largely from a lack of oversight that is deliberately planned, and then when it gets found out, you throw the guy that you put in as the lackey and as the fall guy. And I don't know anything about Ryan O'Mata. I don't know if he was this young 30-something that was like, oh my God, the premier is just like really interested in him to give me this big file. Yeah, I'm going to run with it, and super eager. And then boom, right into a brick wall. Or he was really in on it and said, yeah, I know what happens. I'll take the fall. So is this guy Michael Sona? Basically, because Michael Sona took the fall. Right? We don't know that part like this, but you cannot be that minister with that type of incompetence, and all you get is a reprimand, and incompetence with potential criminal implications. Not just incompetence like, oops, I pressed the button, I shouldn't have pressed the button, I fat fingered something, and whoops, I wiped out the... No, this is
oopsie.
This is here's your job, and don't tell me anything because I don't want to know.
Mm-hmm.
And I already know why it is I don't want to know. If you organize a system to make sure that you don't get to know, and when you're organizing the system why it is you do not want to know, and the reason you do not want to know is something that can end up having you in handcuffs and your face pressed up against the wall, you deserve a little more than a reprimand. Or something or reasonably ought to have expected to should have been able to know was going to end you up. We have to put that wording in there. But yeah, not impressed. Keep digging, keep pressing. All right, kids, that's the end of this episode of the Daily Beaver Morning Show, as Mr. Mateo, the Eager Beaver Morning Show, calls it. Oh, I love it so much. We love making this for you. We hope that you love listening to us. Remember that sharing is caring and word of mouth is priceless. Let your peeps and poops know about us, because democracy is something that you do. Please donate to the Red Cross. Please write some letters. Very, 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 very important. And if you live in Ontario, please buy a membership to the Ontario Liberal. Well, you don't even have to buy. Apply for a membership to the Ontario Liberal Party so that you can vote in the leadership race and vote for the candidate that is probably not most like Doug Ford in terms of having sticky relationships with developers. All right, there you go. Please do that. It is literally free. Literally free. And provincial politics, the party politics level, is where it's at. If you want a candidate that can beat Doug Ford, you have to go to the party nomination and make sure that person becomes a legitimate option at the next provincial election. That's your duty. right? If you really like this podcast, you can find us on the Crier Media Network as well as all Beaver Grizzly friendly platforms. Stars and reviews are appreciated. We'd love to hear from you. Reach us on our Facebook at True North Eager Beaver, our Twitter feed at True Eager, or by email via truenortheagerbeaver@gmail.com, and send us your democracy is something that you do stories. All right? I want to know that.
Please do.
Right. Why not also subscribe to our True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated YouTube channel? That helps us out big time. Maybe like Elaine and smash all of 3 of those buttons, the like, the share, and the subscribe. And since we're talking about subscribing, if you don't want to miss anything whatsoever, that little squiggly by Mr. Grizzly's head brings you to the True North Eager Beaver podpage.com, sponsored by The Ray Girl.
That's not by my head. That's under your chin.
Oh, sorry. This one's under my chin. Sorry. Yes. Yes. Sponsored by the Ray Girl, who's just all kinds of fabulous.
Oh, yes.
Be like the Ray Girl.
Be
All
like
right.
the Ray Girl.
Be like the Ray Girl. And you can go to podpage.com/the True North Eager Beaver, lowercase letters with a hyphen between each one of those words. And when we have something fresh off the bandwidth, we'll come directly forward to you. We can't do this without your kind and generous support. So if you feel that we've done a particularly good show, a good week of shows, a good month of shows, if you're watching, you can scan the QR code on the top left, and that will bring you to the Eager Beaver Lodge Emergency Hydration Fund, where you can help keep us moist as we head into the month of September. It's back to school. We have to make sure that our backpacks are stocked up with Guinness and Caesar and hot chocolate and coffee, or else, I mean, how are we going to make it to midterms? We need you. We need you. So if you would like to help, you scan that squiggly, or if you're listening, you go to coffee, ko-fi.com/eagerbeaver, lowercase letters, all in one word, and that's where you can make your contribution, as have 2 wonderful kits yesterday. Thank you so very much to Cheryl, who just sent us a little message. No message, just bought us a coffee. Just basically a thumbs up. And Kit MK saying, I can't thank you both enough. I wish I would have known about you sooner. We were a red dot in a sea of blue, Cheryl Gallant lovers up until a year ago. The fresh air of your show is a welcome, may I say, blessing for me anyway, and a progressive, positive message we can share. Oh, my word.
Wow, thanks.
MK, wow.
To say I'm gobsmacked would be an understatement.
That is so beautiful. Thank you. Welcome to the Beaver Lodge. Make yourself comfy. The people here are great. The water is fine. Come on, man. Yeah. Oh, yes. And a programming note for our friend Kid James. Blackballed will have a ton more Plymouth Brethren news coming up. Stay tuned. The Chicago land scandal is being covered by national media in the States. This is really big because we've been wondering what the hell is it going to take to get any PBCC news covered by mainstream media. And the Chicago land scandal is popping up, and that's going to lead people to dig, and as they're digging, some of the PBCC stuff might be coming up. So if you're interested in that and the whole Klondike's Papers thing and wanted to see something come to a head, this might be the moment you're waiting for. This might be the catalyst. So be sure that you take some time in to check in with James DeFiore's Blackballed show when you have the opportunity, because I have a feeling this one's going to be good. All right, but Kit MK, thank you. Thank you. Make yourself comfortable here. The people here are wonderful. We hope that you stay for a good long time and that you love it here. All right. And if you have any suggestions for us, please, we're all ears. Okay. From the Beaver Lodge, this is your Eager Beaver saying, until next time, dear kids, it can be a tough world out there. So be kind to and gentle with yourself. Mr. Grizzly, some words of wisdom, please.
Perhaps take your vitamins and your antihistamines. They will make your life a little bit easier. Mine was terrible yesterday. I skipped both and I paid the price. So, take your meds as suggested by your physician.
Vitamins and antihistamines, vitamins. I think that one needs a hat.
Putting on the hits.
Vitamins and antihistamines. Vitamins. Mr. Grizzly, roll the credits, please.
I can do that. I can do that.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver media podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community and forum, and the Pepper Master, hot pepper sauces made from fresh farm ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind.
Kit Jam, he asked if we are going to be on Casual Friday. I know I will be. I can't speak for you.
I might be able to jump in for a bit. I'm going to be out of town, but maybe I'll hop in on my phone for a few minutes if my connection's good enough. I'm going to be way out in the countryside, so we'll see. I might be able to pop in for a bit. We'll see.
Right. And when we talk about democracy, something that you do, we have Miss Sadeka just posted in the chat, I just joined the Liberal Party.
Cool.
There you go. That's how you do that. That's how you do it. All right. And for those who are wondering, tennis fans, all the Canadians are already eliminated from the first round of the U.S. Open.
And they're all gone.
Yeah, it's a tough round. But doubles, Leila Fernandez won her first round match with Taylor Townsend. Mm-hmm. Remember, they had gone to the final at the French Open, so let's hope there's another run. All right. Have a good day.
See ya.